This is my 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air two-door hardtop. The color is gypsy red, also known as orangish red, and some color of cream that is definitely not factory. In fact, none of the paint on this car is factory. According to the paint code, this car was teal when it was originally made, and at some point in its life, it was changed to gypsy red. We've had this car for about 6 years now, and there's two big things about it. One, almost every time you go out, something breaks, hopefully not today. And two, no matter where you go, you are always in a parade. People will wave at you, people will honk at you, people will flag you down. So I mentioned the paint isn't original, and like the paint, there is not much else on this car that is still original. The engine is not original. It's been upgraded to a Chevy 350. The transmission, not original. It is a 700R4 with overdrive. You can easily do 80 miles an hour on the highway with this thing. Suspension, not original. I have lowered it 2 inches in the front, lowered it 1 inch in the back with some stiffer springs and shocks to make it handle a little bit better. Also installed sway bars front and rear to help with the handling. The tires and wheels are all custom. They accept the factory hubcaps, but they are wider, and they are BF Goodrich radials that have had the lettering cut off and white walls put on. Sound system, also definitely not original. This may be the only 1955 Chevy that has Bluetooth. Although this American classic runs and drives, like many old cars, it's not without its flaws. So let's go through those real quick. One of our problems is these valve covers here. They are some leaky guys. I've tried to fix them before by installing some new seals. I put these also pressure distribution tab thingies on there. But the problem is these are cheap, thin valve covers, and with only 4 bolts holding them down, the pressure is not getting distributed evenly across the seal. So we need to fix that. To see the rest of what's wrong, we need to get this guy in the air. So we have got this starter here who, I guess he likes to take a vacation every now and then, but he does not always want to do the one job he's supposed to do, which is start the car. So he's got to go. This oil pan here has leaked ever since I got this car, and there's a dent like right here along the oil pan. It got hit on something at some point, and so it is leaking from the drain plug. I've tried numerous ways to fix that thing, like these little washers and RTV and whatnot, but it does not work. So this oil pan has to go. Transmission pan seal, also leaking, has to go. So in order to fix all these problems, this is what we have. We have new valve covers. These are actually cast aluminum, way thicker than what's on there now, so they should seal up better. They're black, not orange. Don't like the orange. We have new valve cover seals for said valve covers. We have a breather filter for the valve cover, also in black. Once you go black, you never drive a Ford, except I also have a Ford, so whoops. We have a transmission pan seal that I should probably lay out so it can get flat. We also have a transmission filter to change while we're in there. We have, what's in box number 4? We have a starter who needs to be mated to a block. I don't know whether that's a prison block and I should be afraid or what. We also have a oil pan that will hold your oil and hopefully no other fluids. And we have an oil pan seal to go with the oil pan. We also have one additional mystery box, but in order to explain that, we have to take a trip inside. And so this is the last piece of the puzzle. What happened to you, Aaron?
Somebody's having a baby.
And every baby needs to come home from the hospital in style. So this needs to go in the 55. Right now the 55 does not have these seat belts. And to add to our, what do we call this, a situation here?
Yes.
Someone is getting shoulder surgery in less than 2 days. So we have less than 48 hours to get all this done to the 55 because I don't know if I will be able to work on it. And how long do we have till the baby gets here?
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks, 2 hospital visits. Short amount of time.
Short amount of time. So we need to get to work. First up tonight, we will be tackling the less messy things. I think we're gonna do the starter, seat belts, also not messy. Hopefully, unless you're in an accident, and then, yeah, good luck, man. And maybe the valve covers if we get to them. Those are also easy and shouldn't be messy. I don't have any oil or transmission fluid right now, so we need to get that before we can do the messy guys. So first up, starter here. Kind of hard to see behind the exhaust pipe, but you got a couple wires here on the side you need to disconnect first. One of them is the positive lead from the battery, so make sure you disconnect the negative up top on the battery before you take it off, otherwise things could get a little sparky. You also got 2 bolts here that hold it to the block. You take those out, it'll drop down. Watch your head, they're heavy. All right, old starter, new starter. This was interesting. Over-tightening of battery terminal could result in misalignment of solenoid contact, causing intermittent starter failure. That kind of sounds like the problem I'm having with this starter. It also says this surface to block, but when I took it out, this surface was to the block, so we may have to rotate this guy around. All right, took some measurements. It turns out these, even though the starters look very similar, these are very different. Like the distance here is about, it's a little over 1 1/4, and this, even if we turn it around, it's not anywhere near 1 1/4. So we got these shims that'll give us a little bit, but I don't think we're gonna be able to get there. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking this apart and seeing if we can put this starter and the solenoid into this housing. So that's what I'm gonna try next. For a minute there, I thought I was gonna have to get this little gear guy out of there, and I think it's pressed in. I didn't want to mess it up by hanging on it, but turns out, or at least my theory is that the gears in here are still fine. It's just the solenoid that we really need to replace. So I used the old gears. It didn't want to go in at first, but I measured everything with this guy, and everything was the same size. Just needed a little convincing with the rubber mallet. So let's get this guy back in and see if he works. Success! Now that the car starts, next up is the seat belts, which I want to share something ridiculous about these with you. So, I don't know if it says it on the bag. Yeah, so this is a seat belt. Well, here it says 1 person, but online they say this is a seat belt set. So you would think a set of seat belts is 2 seat belts. And that's true, but it's only a seat belt set for 1 person. So you get each half of the seat belt as a set. So we only have 2 seat belts for this car. They were on back order after we got the first 2. I ordered more. They're not gonna be here by tomorrow, but we need to at least install 1 in the back for the baby, and then someone up front gets to live in the event of an accident. Who will that lucky person be? Sometimes when you feel a bump in the 55, it's not because you hit something in the road. I thought I remembered more bolts being in here. I'm gonna have to figure out where these seatbelts go. Good news, found instructions on the internet. ClassicChevy.com if anyone is looking for the same instructions. Time to drill some holes. turns out that drilling holes in a real car is not that hard. Got 2 holes, now we put some bolts through them. And washers. And there you have seat belts and a car seat in a 55 Chevy. If this dog were an actual baby, I think she'd be reasonably secure. Last night, ran out of time, did not get to the valve covers, so we're gonna do those, transmission, fluid, filter, gasket, oil, pan, filter, oil, all that stuff, right meow. So we got the transmission pan off. This is a magnet down here that catches goop, aka metal. We do have a fair amount of goop on there, which isn't good. And again, who knows how long this transmission's been in the car? Who knows the last time the pan was taken off? So I'm not going to worry about it too much. Just clean things up, change out the filter, and then put things back together. We've got all sorts of fun things up in here. Got your crankshaft, your oil pickup. If you ever wondered where your dipstick goes, there it is. In order to fill the transmission, we got this little itty bitty hole way down there. You can barely even see it. So in order to get everything down there, little DIY tool hack, take your ordinary chemical sprayer, cut off the tip, put some tubing on it, and you have a fancy transmission fluid sprayer. Well, you don't want to spray it, but you know, it'll get where it needs to go. So hopefully all the leaks are fixed now. I'll have to take it out and test drive later, see if we have any. Hopefully not. Seatbelts are in. Actually, the 2 that I don't have, I called the company today. They are back in stock. They shipped them today, so I will have them soon. If I'm feeling up to it after my shoulder surgery tomorrow, maybe those will get in. And then after that, all that's left to do is stuff a baby in this car. Today's the day. You hate car seats?